missing persons, as in us needing to pay more attention. Let me show you this face. See, I'm completely stressed all the way out. And the stress is a little bit subsiding because of a situation that just recently happened in relation to a woman and her dog. Her name is Penelope Bax, and her dog Walter, that had in fact went missing. She was in the campground, right? I'm on this Facebook group, right? And so as I'm in the group, as I stated before, I made multiple videos in the area of me talking about wanting to help my mom get an RV. So the point of me joining these RV groups, in which I am a part of, was to gain tips and knowledge on how to actually buy, maintain, as well as, you know what I'm saying, travel. Because see, it's the different groups that I just recently added myself to a few weeks back, they give a lot of tips, and more so to single women who go out and travel and stuff like that. And sometimes people that go out alone, because there's a like a medium ground, a percentage of women that like to travel on their own in an RV by themselves. And so I needed to take it upon myself to gain this information as well for my mom. So let me show you something, because I was stressed all the way out. Let me tell you. See this beautiful face? This is the woman that I just spoke of in relation to her and her dog going missing. Her RV. See her dog at the bottom, standing all by himself. His name is Walter, right? So I'm in the group with them. And when you scroll down, you'll see various of my comments or whatnot, because this story in itself, it like bothered me. So basically, she kind of went missing, you can say in a sense, because she never left the campground from the beginning. So you can say in a sense, she went missing. She was supposed to show up to her families where they reside. She was supposed to show up Sunday for Easter, like how families get together and have Easter dinner or whatnot. Let me show you her face again. See, she travels alone, as in by herself, her and her dog. Pretty nice RV or whatnot. So to travel like that by yourself sometimes is to get lost. So earlier today, I'm on Facebook, and while I am on there in the group in which I am in, which this woman's family is in fact a part of, they literally come on there, and not only just them, other people that know them personally, like family, friends, and stuff like that, come on there basically screaming out help. How you scream out and holler in text form that you need help because somebody in your family has gone missing. See, to have something like that, especially where that was at, the campground, or where she's at, I think it's Hertz Bay Campground in California. To have family go missing like that is to be completely devastated. Completely. And I say this because that is the reason why I felt so stressed out. To have intuition about something, in a sense, where areas is wrong, is to know and understand. Especially, see, let me say something. First of all, there's people that get on YouTube that exploit other people's death or even missing persons reports. They exploit that for their own personal gain. And yet I myself, that is not the game I play. Not in the area of where I'm sitting close to something and I'm actually texting back to individuals to see what is going on. You know what I'm saying? In the area of where somebody's family member, people don't understand. When I made that pedophile video, I was completely terrified in explaining that situation about the missing persons. I said I was going to look deeper into that because over the past few years, I have been completely interested in that topic and discussion. Because see, to go missing, a lot of people has never been found. They have vanished. I won't say in thin air, but it almost seemed like that. So going back to what I was saying, anytime you sit in a situation, like in a center in the middle of it, with those very family members and their friends, is to never say you're trying to exploit somebody's situation, because to sit amongst that and sit waiting hours for police to be found and hoping that they don't bring this individual back in a body bag is to, in a sense, put tears in your eyes, and not only that, fear throughout your whole spirit. I was a completely emotional wreck because I have not experienced those things like that, but it still goes back to the 80s, the late 80s going into the 90s with the milk carton. How people used to be missing. When you're a young child and you see that, you kind of put two and two together, but at the same time, you don't fully understand what's going on, which is why, since I was a young child, I have always feared that whole thing of people coming up missing. Like it's an internal fear that I become completely, extremely devastated, like crying and everything, because it's like you freak out. Even when I get the Amber Alert, it's almost, but to be, like I said before, to be standing there and I was scrolling, you know what I'm saying, in the group, scrolling, trying to, because sometimes in the groups, I like to sit, especially when it's a group for tips and stuff like that for R&V, because at the end of this year, we will be buying one. And next thing you know, this comes in and then it's pinned for everybody to see. It just freaked me completely out. It freaked me all the way out. It freaked me out, like completely, to the point I kept responding back and trying to respond in a way to not pester the family and telling them what they need to do. See, other people, not to discredit them, but sometimes we don't pay attention. You got what I'm saying? In our surroundings, in the area of our awareness, and where people can literally be located and found. Sometimes even your intuition can speak up and tell you where the very person is somewhat located, and yet not completely there, and yet they are there. And yet we as human individuals sometimes got so much loudness on the inside as well as outside, we bypass even that message. People's bodies have been literally found, yes, dead bodies, where the rescue team have went out to search for kids, adults, women, all type children, and yet years later their body was found in the same perimeter area of where the rescue team was. That's sad, because to know that you went out within that time period when they went missing and could never find them, and then years later they're found in the very area where you actually look to see where they were at, that's enough to, I don't know, that's enough to just make you sick. Yes, it is. And so, like I said before, I'm still kind of shaken up by that, because I don't like stuff like that. It makes me sick is what I'm trying to say. Because see, to have somebody go missing in a campground is to say they might have literally had been taken by somebody. They might have been robbed by somebody, or they might have been completely killed by somebody. See, because sometimes these RVs, especially the one that she had, it was a Mercedes-Benz. You got what I'm saying? More than likely, it was probably a Thor Mercedes-Benz, as in it, the vehicle being on a chassis or a chassis of a Mercedes that it actually sits on, and yet the brand was probably in itself Thor, because they didn't really completely say. And then when you look at the photos, you can't see because the door is open, blocking the actual logo or whatnot on the side. So it's just it's traumatizing. But she's still alive. But you just don't, it just, that type of stuff, it does something to me. I literally was getting sick the whole time. If I go back, see, because to go missing, she was supposed to leave out of the campground somewhere Thursday going into Friday, right? And she was supposed to end up at her family's member's house on Sunday. And yet here it is, 2:00 in the morning on Tuesday, right? And they just found her a few hours ago. So they found her basically on Monday. And the actual campgrounds where she stayed at is untamed animals, is what I'm saying, outside of people that could actually kill you. There's actually lion, they call them mountain lions, as well as bears. So I just freaked all the way out. So let me go back a few hours in the group as they were posting it, because her family was just as frantic as I was. Everybody was saying they were sending their prayers up. Some people could share the story, other people couldn't. And so I was asking them about the driver's plate, because see, when you post a story like this, the very first thing you should always put out, see, when I get Amber Alerts, I got my phone set up for me to get that type of thing. The very first thing you should post in the first place is a driver's license plate. And so nobody in the group was asking about that. And I said her driver's license plate number needs to be spread around as well. This could help in the search. I'm saying those who can help on the lookout and helping to find her. That was the first thing. And then another thing I had said, because also when stuff like this happens, some people be fearful in the area of speaking up because they don't want to feel like they're disrespecting the family. Some people don't want to feel like they're being insensitive by responding, saying certain things. And yet I myself is one to take it upon myself to question. I don't care. Not saying I don't care about the family's feelings, but when a situation happen like this and you're going to try to solve something, it's more about solving as resolving and trying to push your emotions to the side. So let's all come together as one, united as a whole in this, and not just say, oh my gosh, let me not say nothing, or oh my gosh, that is so sad, or oh my gosh, just lifting you up in prayers. The family need more information than that. So her family, as I stated before, is in the group. That's how it got pinned. They're in fact still in the group. So I said, I'm waiting to hear back on this. I wonder how good she was at traveling, if she could have gotten lost. See, because I kept thinking and sensing she was out there lost, right? The police took it upon themselves to search around for her, even in the very campground of where she was later on found, right? But before she was, they basically kept saying she was not there. They said that she was not in the campground because they did a welfare check, as in walking around searching the actual environment. And they also put the missing persons out in the surrounding area outside of that. Even in various areas of California or Oregon and stuff like that. So they basically, the police and everybody, was not trying to, in a sense, go back and confiscate that very area of where she probably came out of, is what I'm trying to say. Nobody was looking at this, and yet I was completely engulfed in this for the simple fact, pay attention, for the simple fact, if you go to leave out of a campground at night or even in the middle of the night and it's only you, a dog, and a small RV, and nobody has seen your face, although there was a missing persons placed out on you. Because see, to have an RV is to stop somewhere for gas. And that's the point of showing a person's face off in missing persons. You have to stop somewhere for gas if you were not in fact taken by another individual, like a grown man or another woman, right? And so to just disappear in my eyes just did not seem right. I kept thinking to myself, either this woman disappeared once again and somebody took her vehicle, or they took her with her vehicle, or they killed her. And if that is not the option, then she's right within this actual park. I sensed that like from the very beginning. For hours on end. For hours on end, I sat right here on Facebook waiting for a response, to see back, even checking the news, scoping in on the news, opening various windows to scope in on the news, because I'm like, this don't add up. How does these type of people just go in the campground of a forest and just never be found? There's more to that. Either you are eaten by a wild animal such as a bear or a mountain lion, or you're still out there. And yet nobody scoped out completely to see if you were really out there. So in my mind, I'm thinking, couldn't somebody have flown a drone? I mean, we got drones out here. Search and rescue teams Usually take them 5 to 7 days with 100 people and sometimes volunteers, because that's how they have found and located people in deep wooded forest areas in the past anyways. And yet to say that you did not see her there is to in fact go back. I started to get an attitude. I really did. And I don't even know this woman personally, but I start to get an attitude because I'm like, that's not enough. Do your job. That's not enough. You don't say that you took the time to walk the premises to do a welfare check. In an area such as that, they said that is the largest wooded area of all of California. Do you hear me? That means if that place is that big in the area of California, that means it would take at least 3 to 5 days to walk the whole premises, or at least 5 to 7 days. And by then the woman will be dead, because to be anywhere like that, if you don't have food in your RV and you don't have gas and you don't have dog food, even your dog will eat you to survive. Yes, they will. That's a dog's natural instinct. And so I just was like, this story does not end. It does not play out like this. Somebody is not paying attention. Somebody all amongst us, even online, is not paying attention. So what I started to do once again was to take it upon myself to start asking various questions. You know what I'm saying? Because this wasn't posted just in this group. It was posted in like 2 or 3 other groups. You know what I'm saying? 3 to be exact. So each one I had to answer back, because to get a question going in motion is to get other people involved. You don't sit back. And that's one thing I don't like about living in America sometimes, is people just sit back and they don't question enough. And I said that from the beginning since I started YouTube and even Facebook. You don't question enough. But to hop on the bandwagon is to jump on the bandwagon, as in where it's going. Let me help lead in the questioning, because see, the police is already doing their job, and yet they're half doing it. They're half doing it. Most of them do, because see, they say a lot of missing people go completely unfound, and not only that, it's completely not documented, even in the area of the forest. I'm gonna have to probably study much into that after I get over the stress and anxiety of what I still feel. So let me say what I wrote in the group. I said, this was 11 hours ago. And I said, I'm waiting to hear back on this. I wonder how good was she at traveling, and if she could have gotten lost. Questions only concern me for this very purpose. And to question is to help out, as in putting pieces together as police are doing their job. Out of respect for the family, no one said if she fully knew the areas, as in the campground, despite it being no one said if she fully knew the area as in the campground, despite it being stated that she left. I'm wondering how easy or even hard it is to become lost in a place such as this, with it being wooded and all, even with a dog. I said, I'm new to camping, which is why I question this sort of thing. And the lady, one individual, I won't state her name, said very good questions. And to follow that, I had to go behind that 10 hours later, which was an hour following that, because I didn't want to see, to know and understand something is going on, as in knowing your intuition is speaking to you, is to know that person did not leave that park. And that's what I was trying to get to. See, what I was trying to do is speak it in a way to make it not seem like the woman could have been dead, as in killed or have died. Because see, some older people period, go through menopause and all type of stuff, and they get sick and they fall over or whatever in the forest. I'm sure it has happened. You know what I'm saying? And so to not be located is to die from that very thing. And so I just had to just question, because you don't stop right there. You don't say a person left out of the campground. More than likely, they're probably on the road somewhere. 3 days is going into, as in passing along. And yet all we have, being the police that we are, is to say, you know what, a person is missing. So let's keep rolling this missing persons report and updating the story saying that they're unfound. They have to be somewhere near the campground. And that's what I was trying to get to. I kept thinking, over analyzing in my mind, write this out in a common sense, logical order, in the way that these people can read and understand what you're trying to say without inciting more fear on top of what they're already feeling. So an hour after I wrote that, I said, see, another thing is to understand. Let me pause. Another thing is, when these type of things happen, you got to take it upon yourself as an individual to look outside of that actual situation, as in the campground itself. You got to know the numbers, as in how wide the actual campground is. You got what I'm saying? Because see, even police overlook that sort of thing. There's all type of designated area, as in wooded area, in which police cannot in fact reach. And yet they need other teams of people to try to get type of animals, and yet even those animals can't even go in within that area. People have been known to fall off of cliffs, is what I'm trying to say. And so in my mind, I was putting two and two together. Did this woman in fact go over a cliff in the area where she's completely unseen? Yes, people have died like that and weren't found till years later. So I needed to understand the numbers, as in racking up the numbers. Got what I'm saying? So to rack up the numbers is to go in on Wikipedia and pull up information on that park itself. And not only that, as in the area of pulling up Wikipedia, you go into the actual campground website in itself to pull information on that website, as in the numbers. How many thousand feet? How many trees do they have? Because see, to be in a wooded area, period, is to count and know how many trees is in that actual area. And I say this because to walk around with a team and crew of people is to be found and discovered in that area. And yet if you can't see because the trees are blocking you in under the very sunlight itself, is to know you might not be located. That's why it helps to know how many trees, how far and wide, angular, and all of this, as in the campground itself. I'm just saying, you don't look on a path looking for somebody. You just, when a missing person has gone missing, you just don't walk on a straight path looking for that individual. You have to dive somewhere along in these wooded areas where you cannot see, as in looking deep. See, some of these people that even do these search and rescues, they know and they're proficient enough to understand, okay, we gotta look beyond the actual trees, because even amongst those trees is more trees, and that individual could have gotten sick, taken the time to drive off that very road and got through in between those trees to pull over. Yes, they could have. People do that type of thing because, first of all, to go hide your RV in between some trees like that is to be discreet. If you're sick, or if you have a malfunctioning, even in the area of your RV stalling or coming close to stalling and running out of gas, is sometimes people don't completely think logically, but not only that, they don't want to be found and discovered by things like bears and stuff, because see, bears can tear open an RV like that. Yes, they can. Yes, they can, because they smell food and garbage and waste. Even that septic tank that holds the waste matter, such as boo-boo and all that stuff, with the foul chemical, the gray tank and the black tank that an RV holds, even a bear can take it upon himself to smell that and want to come inside. So some people will try to hide themselves and to know that, you know what, we might have to sleep here for a night, we got to hide ourselves or whatever. So in saying all this, I said, back to what I was saying about scoping out the premises. I even took it upon myself to go read the reviews of the campground, googling the actual campground to see what other people have to say about this campground. You know what I'm saying? Because see, some people have actually had other family members who have as well been lost too, in these type of places. And some people take it upon themselves to actually state it in reviews. Yes, they do. How the park can in fact improve itself in that area, as in cutting down a few trees where maybe something could be wide open enough to be located and found. People don't, this type of stuff is common sense and logic, and yet it bypasses people's eyes. So I said I did a review on the campground. This is what I posted while I was in the group as all this was going on. I said I did a review on a campground in which she was located at last. And it states that it is considered the largest of all in California, which is why I'm in questioning. I said, to be spread amongst such massive land such as this is to know that somebody didn't check it all. I was trying to let them know y'all didn't check all of that. All the premises have not been completely checked. You can't tell me that to be in that big wide area that is bigger probably than California itself is to tell me you checked all of it. I said they couldn't have checked all of the premises, which is a campground. I said they need to search again, as in research. They need to search again as research the area. I said there is no way a team could search every diameter of land such as where she stayed at in one day. That type of search and rescue cannot be completely done in one day. And yet at that time when I was saying this, they were not in fact completely looking within the campground. They were looking all outside of the campground as I was posting this. Nobody was really taking it upon themselves to say, you know what, this woman might in fact still be in this campground. So let's, take it upon ourselves to go ahead and look again, because remember, they did a welfare check. To do a welfare check sometimes is to do it twice and then leave it at that, and then go outside and get the searching everywhere else, state line and borders, as in highways and freeways. Because remember, an Amber Alert goes on every day, if not every other day. And so that's why they usually leave that designated area of where they've been searching to find and locate whoever and go on the outside. But as I was saying, once again, I said they need to search again, as in research. There is no way a team could search every diameter of land such as where she stayed in one day. You can't solve that in one day, is what I'm saying. I said it takes a team up to 5 to 7 days in order to find someone who could have been lost, if she is in fact lost. I said I keep sensing that she's lost in the woods and she never left. See, I was saying this to let them know, you know what, that woman might in fact be lost and she might have not left. Y'all need to go back. And yet, once again, I'm repeating again, but once again, I had to keep it in a way to make it not sound, to incite fear more in the family more than they was already feeling. Because see, for somebody to not know you, like a person like me, go in a group and be hanging out and get to conversating with people and their family members, knowing that they're missing, knowing that their family person is missing. Once people start saying stuff like that to you, it's a place more fear in your brain, and even want to give up, because in your mind you're already thinking they might be dead as soon as somebody's saying they could be lost after this many days. Remember, she was supposed to leave that campground Thursday, and here it is Tuesday, but yet she was found on Monday. That's a long time. They say, let me get this straight. They say after the first 24 hours and somewhere going into the 72 hours, yes, of being lost in the forest, is when all hope becomes lost. They said that. Within the first 24 hours, drifting into the first 72 hours is when all hope is lost in finding missing individuals, because they know they can't a lot of times survive, for the simple fact is because the wild animals, but not only that, the temperature drops at night. It gets very, very cold, and a lot of times people have not dressed, in fact, to be able for their body to withstand that cold dropping temperature. Some people freeze to death like that. especially if they're sickly individuals. And yet they didn't fully say if she had a medical condition, which was why I questioned that as well. I did. I started to question everything because that's the type of person I am. I question, could she be sickly? Could she really not have too much a good memory? Could she have not fully known the area in which she was traveling around in that campground? See, just because you stay in a campground don't mean that you're always going to make it out of the campground. It's too many trees. It's too many windy roads. And in fact, at night, the only thing you got is light, as in your headlights. Bright headlights getting out. You see what I'm saying? And so to understand this is to know that a person must be trapped somewhere. You must be trapped somewhere. Or something. Something has prevented you, is all I'm saying, from leaving that campground. And while everybody else was all sporadic, trying to say their prayers and question, did she go to whatever city? I'm like, they didn't even delve deep into that. I'm like, you know what? Something is in fact trapping that woman in that environment. Either she ran out of gas. That's like one of the second, third things that came to mind after the sickness. The sickness came first. She ran out of gas. She probably parked the vehicle somewhere. Tried to take it upon herself to walk somewhere. You got what I'm saying? You can only walk so far in that type of area without getting killed by a bear or something crazy like that happening, or freezing to death. That's what I'm trying to say. See, I like to reiterate. Is that what you call it? No. I like to repeat because, see, to repeat something is somebody else to watch this video in case of one of their family members or loved ones go missing. Stop everything. Bring traffic completely to a stop. And you backtrack just like the police backtrack. And not only that, you don't allow them to get up and give up looking for your family member. Because, see, death even stands in that. It awaits in the area where you give up. So I kept thinking, okay, something has trapped this woman in the area of not a falling limb. Maybe not even, who knows? Maybe the vehicle stalled completely out. Because, see, it was a 2017 Mercedes-Benz, but even they could actually stall out. Especially if it's not enough gas in the tank. See, to be in a wilderness or a jungle type of area is to never know what could be served to you even in the middle of the night and leaving out at night. That's why it helps to not travel alone like that. And that's not judging her. I'm sure she probably got peace of mind traveling by herself, but that's why it helps to take a man or someone with you, as well as a shotgun or a 9mm. Shotgun is even more better, and yet working with a 9mm in that type of area can save you just as much, especially when people get to knocking on your door. I was even conversating with that in the area of a lot of people started commenting back because a woman made a post and we was all responding. I said, you don't open the door. I got frustrated. I wanted to actually yell through the phone. You don't open a door in the middle of the night in a forest. I basically was going off on the woman that was in question. She was innocent. She didn't know. But I was frustrated about this situation that was going on. I was frustrated about that, and the fact that the woman was in the campground at night. And now here you got somebody else, another woman asking, well, do you open the door? No, you never open the door. Even in a neighborhood, if you live out in the suburbs, you never open the door for any man, woman, or child in the middle of the night, not even a child. It's sad to say, what you need to do is tell that child, look, if a child comes up, because you got grown men and women that is known to have taken other grown people from their house by sending a child up to your very doorstep. Yes, they have. This type of thing goes on. They use the child to lure you in, and then they get you in a car with the child and drive away. And the child is with the team, is what I'm trying to say. He's a player on the team because they're guiding him, and even that. So he's a criminal with them, the child. Yes, walking up on the doorstep, knocking on your door. So you never answer the door at night. So what I was trying to say is, You got people that take it upon themselves to send a child on people's doorsteps. In order to handle that situation, as I rewind this tape, is to say anytime a young child appears on your doorstep, you don't open the door. You don't open the door. First of all, you ask them, what is their name? Turn the light on so that you can see them. Turn the light on just enough so that you can see them. You ask them, what is their name? Where have they came from? How do they think they have gotten on the premises being your porch? Because how's a child being walking around in the middle of the night, showing up on your doorstep? That's not even logical sense. A child walking up in the middle of the night, 10:30, 11 at night, and yet they're 10, 11 years old, knocking on your door. You got to ask them, how did you get here? How did you get here? Were you by yourself? Were you walking down the street? Are you sleepwalking? Ask them that. Are you sleepwalking? You got to ask them 50 million questions to get it out of them as you're standing behind the door or the screen door as it's locked. You don't let them in. And then as you're asking them this, you have somebody else in the house go get the phone. You don't leave the door is what I'm trying to say. Don't never leave the door unattended. Because whoever is out there, criminals standing in the bushes waiting to get in your house, that's what they do. So you allow somebody in your house to go get the phone and call the police. Call the police. Okay? And either you can tell that child that you're calling the police or not tell them. However you want to work the situation. But you call the police and you let the authorities come and help that situation. You do. You leave them out on the porch. That's how, where I come from, that's what you do. Even in the suburbs, that's what you do. Because all type of mass murders and killers and all type of stuff, once again I said, they will present a child to help you become a missing persons. Yes, they will. So, a 9mm is workable for that situation, not as in scaring the child, but say if a grown man was to even show up. See, a 9mm serves a point even in the air if you got to put up a fight with somebody like that. Some of these strangers that walk up, you might have to put a fight with in the middle of the night, them knocking on your door and you accidentally open it. A 9mm is quick to shoot, point range, in the gut, in the leg, in the stomach, in the arms, in a tattoo, wherever. Whereas a shotgun is not. It's easy to drop a loaded shotgun is all I'm saying. Gotta use your logic skills in any of this, in the area of survival. So going back to what I was saying, like I said they need to search again, research. There's no way a team can search all of the diameter of land. Said it takes a team up to 5 to 7 days in order to find someone who has been lost. But I kept going on and on. I keep sensing she's in the woods and never left, more than likely lost. I said I could be wrong. I kept taking it upon myself to say, you know what, dear God, universe, this woman is here. And I said I could be wrong to put everything, to rest assured, to put the family in a sense like at ease, to help not upset them even more. I said if no one has seen her publicly on the road, then she has to be still in the woods. Too bad they didn't have the plates, and yet and still someone would have seen her face. Yes, such as like a gas station or even a store. I said they need to concentrate more on the woods for a few days because like I said before, people at that age are prone to illness or getting sick, even if it's mild. Search and rescue doesn't do enough. I know they're trying, but still, we'll wait. I said we'll wait. I myself was willing to sit there and wait. Even if it helped sharing certain things to other people on Facebook. It was a woman that had responded back. She's not close to the family, but what she said was, she was basically responding back to what I had said. She said, this is very good, as in your response. Let's hope someone is considering going there and doing more of a thorough search. I wonder if there's a registration so that her campsite might be known. Of course, she could have moved, So the woman is saying she basically registered for that plotted area of where you park your RV and say sleep and all that other stuff. And some people have camp or they have hookups and stuff like that, so you get fresh water and dump your black tank. What is that? Filthy water from the toilet water and all that. So she's saying she might have moved from that actual area and registered somewhere else, because in these campgrounds, a lot of that is paid for. Yes, it is. They charge for that, for you moving around. And for every time you move around, you got to register back with them so that they know. You feel what I'm saying? You got to register with them so that they know that's where you're moving, so that they don't charge somebody else, give them that land space, and then you're already parked there. So that's what she was trying to say. Maybe she moved away from the area of where they did the welfare check and she wasn't there. She said, I guess for her to be found in the woods, her motorhome would still be found somewhere in the campground. So all this she was answering me back pertaining to what I had already said about her being lost. See, I think many of these people didn't think from the very beginning that she could be in the campground. They see many of them that was sitting in here, they're older, right, retired individuals. Not all of them. Some of my young age, some of my age young. But they was thinking there's no way that this woman could still be in the campground. That's what they were thinking. That's why she responded back to me like that when she said, I guess for her to be lost in the woods, her motorhome would still be found somewhere in the campground. When she said that, I paused, right? And I start to question, because see, when somebody answered you back like that, I already knew that she was in fact in her RV, but I kept thinking that RV is somewhere off the path. Anytime you go on a campground, listen to me, even man, women, children, or you're hiking or whatever, you go on a campground. I know people like to hike, but when you're not completely experienced at that type of thing, and I don't think this woman was, you stay on the beaten path. You stay on the straight and narrow path. Even in the area of your camper breaking down, your RV breaking down, or running out of gas. If it run out of gas, let it stand still there. Don't move it nowhere else. Because see, in the morning, there's going to be all type of people who are going to be walking that premises, and they're going to be driving on that premises, or where your vehicle has stalled. Or even if you bodily are giving out, you don't move yourself anywhere where you can't be located and found. And I think that's what happened to her. They won't give out any more information. They can't release that until they find out what is going on with her physically. She had to be airlifted out of that environment, which goes to show somehow, some way she gotten off the path. She had to. She had to have gotten off the path somewhere, or got strung up somewhere in the area too far off in the woods. And I sensed that from the beginning. I keep saying that, but that did something to me. What it started to do was put anxiety, like for me, almost going into a full-blown panic attacks, because see, I have those type of things anyway. And sometimes when intuition speaks to me, it don't just speak. Like this type of things that have happened, it actually scream. And it sets me off, which happened. It set me off to the point of I was literally, when I was laying down, because see, I was reading all this laying down. I had came home early. I was reading it and answering back. I was terrified to get up to go to the bathroom is what I'm trying to say. Because I kept thinking in my mind, you know what, if somebody don't find this woman there, she's going to die. As in become a ghost. As in vanished. Because that type of stuff happened where people have actually, did I said this before? People have actually went into campground areas, went to stay the night, never came back out, and they were vanished. I saw a story where a car had been missing since 1991. That car was stolen. And yet it fits in with this story. It ties in. That car was stolen in 1991 in a campground, right? In an actual campground, missing. It wasn't found until 27 years later. How does a car be stolen and then not found till 27 years later? Even that don't make sense. It don't add up. And for many of these people that go dying, that go out in these forests and are never found again, some of them are still in the forest. Their body is just deteriorating away and has. It's rotted away, it's gone. You can't even really say it's probably bone matter there. Because see, to come up missing like that is to take dogs. And some people that don't even live in that area, they live way completely on the other side of the country. One guy was a pilot that did that. He had a dog. His dog was named Duffy. And it was a guy named Joe. I think his name was Joe Keller. He came up missing. He was a runner or whatnot. He came up missing. And the family could not find him. And so this man was not even a part of none of this. A pilot and everything. Just him and a guy with a dog. Like, you know what? We're going to put this thing to work. We're going to put this thing to work to try to find this young kid. We're not going to let this go. So the dog was sniffing around and finding things. And the dog thought that he found the actual thing. But come to find out, this kid had in fact fallen over a cliff and died right there on the spot. He broke his ankle and everything. Because see, an autopsy tells what have actually happened halfway in the story. Not all of it, but some of it. And so his parents was deeply saddened because when they went out there with search and rescue to find this kid, they was in the very same area of where he was. That's sad. That's devastating. The parents went right over in that cliff area of where he was. They was in fact on top of the cliff area of where he was, and yet he had actually fallen from that very cliff. And his body was located years later up under the cliff. Some random guy came along is what I'm trying to say. And he took it upon himself to go in a wooded area in which you really shouldn't go into unless you're experienced to go in those areas, right? Deep into the woods. And he found his body. Found his body. They had to identify him, of course, through the matter of the waist and stuff like that. But yeah, that was him. So I just was like, I was going to put myself a part of this situation because remember, I was already sitting in it. To become a part of something is to become one with that. To become part of something is to become one with that very thing. So if this is to ever happen to you, never allow somebody to tell you that you're exploiting a matter. You can't exploit something in what you're trying to be a part of to help. Got what I'm saying? Ain't no gaining anything. Because see, the only thing that the focus of that is to gain a life. That's what I'm trying to say. It's to gain a life. Put the pieces back together in order to find that woman. She has actually, in fact, become your family member. Yes, she has. Because to be a part of a group and share information with like-minded individuals is to know and understand you're standing amongst your own kind. You got common interests. Enough to share freely information in which others can use who are like you, which means you are in fact a tribe of beings, a family, though you're not tied by blood. Yes, it is. You're not tied by blood, and yet you're one. You got what I'm saying? Let me check something. So she was airlifted. I didn't like that. I don't like stuff like that. The whole situation, that whole situation is enough to make a person have an anxiety attack that they won't go to emergency room. The type of individual I am, I know that to be truth, because to say someone is missing is to know that individual might not in fact be found. And it's a very hurtful thing to know that you're standing in a situation at that very moment with the family and friends of someone, and they're begging and pleading other people to help them, and to know that you can't walk away. Because see, to even walk away from something like that is to know that type of thing will never be forgotten. Because while I was in the group, I'm in the group, and as I'm in the group, you know how you scroll? I'm the type of person, I got a habit, I'll scroll a page and scroll, and then I'll reload the page, as in push down in order to make it reload. And as soon as I did that, that popped up. And yet it was no outside, because see, Facebook a lot of times has missing persons or missing people's story, missing persons that go missing, and yet they're nowhere close. They just been put on the news, and yet you're nowhere close to the situation, and so yet you don't become attached to that situation. To see a person that has went missing is to know you're completely detached from it, because you're far away from that situation. And so many people, they walk away from it. But when you become a part of something, that's enough to make you want to go to the toilet and vomit and throw up. Yes, it does. Which is how I felt. I keep saying that. Which is how I felt. Because as the day slowly goes into the next day, of which it is, those feelings are slowly subsiding. And yet, what if they wouldn't have, in the area of her not being found, not even her body? That does something to you. Yes, it does. I would have never walked away, is what I'm trying to say. If this woman, her family would have took the time to share with us that she can't be found, and they would have kept going on pleading the way that they were pleading. I'm saying in the realm of how they were pleading. To see somebody pleading is to know that there is a bigger issue that you, in fact, need to take it upon yourself to help solve. You get involved. You get involved. Even if you got enough money to actually meet and greet and locate them on that very campsite, as in teaming up with others to help find them in the search and rescue. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Now, because I'm in the current situation of where I am, being this far and being low on funds, as well as having 2 dogs, I couldn't be able to do that, and yet I would have did something online. I would, as in helping to set up a web page in the area of even graphic design and marketing. I would have helped market that out, as in her being missing. Yes, I would have. Setting up web pages. Getting a team of people to come together to set up some web pages and set up shop more than these police officers. Because once I said before, many of them don't do enough because they already got a lot on their hands. And yet to not let it go, to not let a problem go unresolved is to settle that very thing. I ain't want to just walk away. That's not me. That ain't never been me. On certain situations, especially when it comes to a life like that, a human life. I said, as creepy as it sounds, I didn't have a choice. As creepy as this sounds, I literally sat and stared at that woman's photo for about an hour. Yes, I did. And then stared at it again some more. Because see, I was trying to gain answers. And people don't know and understand because they allow the outside noise to come in to not be able to hear when your intuition and the universe is speaking to you, as in where to go. As in where to go, as in where to be found, as in locating others outside of your very self. Her photos and her face and her dog. Her dog more than anything. Her dog more than anything, his photo was speaking to me. And letting me know we are still in the woods. Young girl that's looking at me through this screen, we are still here in the woods. Don't let that bypass anybody's eyes to the fact that we are still out here. We're just waiting to be rescued is all. I kept sensing that. I kept sensing that. And so I couldn't stop staring at her photo. I would have literally sat, and I said that sounds freakish and it sounds like a mental illness. Who knows, and yet who cares? Because to look at somebody's photo sometimes is to get an understanding of the bigger picture. You can literally look at a person's picture and see right through the photo for what it actually is. And yet people bypass this as well. I can literally sit, I'm trying to tell you, I can literally sit standing and staring at a photo and read right into that photo for what it is. To show me a photograph of a woman that is 63 years old, first they put out she was 65 years old, 63 years old, to put out a photo of that, and to have her sitting side by side with not only one dog, but two dogs. You got what I'm saying? And then not only that, put out a photo where she's actually sitting next to her RV outside with the door open. Yes, I pay attention to everything. I'm highly aware. I pay attention to everything. I was scoping in and out on the photograph to try to see if I could read the plate. And others were doing the same. They was trying to see, what is the plate on that thing? What is that plate on the machine she's driving? Because that's even useful, right? That's even useful. So as I was staring the photo down and kept staring the photo down, it was like I was literally glued to her photo. Now everybody else is trying to just find her. And I'm like, no, this photo right here, this photograph is going to, in fact, tell the very story of what it is, and it has. Are you bailing him out? That story in which I am speaking on is a simple fact. The woman never left. I was getting angry in that. She never left. And my soul was getting to the point of being angry and disgust of the fact I could not live with myself. If the woman would have survived in that field, survived in the woods, or where she was in the forest, if she would have survived there and later died with her and her dog, and then come to find out a year later from now, her vehicle would have been found, I don't think I would have been able to live with myself. I would have survived, not went and killed myself, but I don't think I would not be right mentally in the area of that, because I don't take those sort of things right. As this video is showing, I don't handle that type of thing very lightly, and it does something to me. It's highly off-putting. So to read a photograph for what it is to just tell the story. It is. She sat there in that photograph with those two dogs, and yet she took one out on a trip. So that was to eliminate the one dog that didn't go with her. To see that she likes to keep her dog kenneled in a closed area next to the RV was to know that she likes to keep her dog close to her, as in restraint, as in not being let off the leash. You got what I'm saying? So that was enough to tell me that that dog didn't really get too far away from her. See, because the photograph, in the very photograph, when I saw, see, some people a lot of times let their dogs go out in the wilderness, and yet it's something that you should never do, because there's wild, untamed animals that bite, like foxes, that will put up a fight with your dog and kill them. You know what I'm saying? And so for me to see that she would even, in fact, have her dog enclosed in a kennel type of area, is to know she don't like her dog beyond of where she is. She don't. That photo showed itself. Let me go down. Did they remove the story? Let me go down. You can't even see it because my phone is dark. You can't even see it. And yet her dog is right here, and she's sitting there. The dog is right there enclosed inside of a small metal gated kennel, in which you take your dog, say, when you're traveling and stuff like that. And not only is he in that, she's sitting in it as well. You see what I'm saying? I pay attention to all that. I pay attention to everything. Not all the time when I should. You know what I'm saying? But to know and understand, once again, repeating, to make it get ingrained. See, I repeat to make it be ingrained in your brain in case of this sort of thing happen to you. Even in the photo being released or something like this. To know that a woman has her dog pinned up in the area like that is to know she don't like her dog beyond herself. Because see, to travel along like that is to be by yourself, as in wandering around and encounter strangers you don't know, right? And to shake hands with people you don't know, which serves an area in the precautionary area that you can be robbed or cheated from or whatever, right? And not only that, it's to pose an issue of your very dog running away. Because see, dogs like the one that she have natural instinct to mate with other things and other dogs, as in going into heat various times within the year. Some dogs go into heat 6 months, every 6 months within a year. Yes, they do. And so to know and understand this thing is to know that a dog can run and walk away from you at any time. When you turn around, you'll be looking like, oh my gosh, like how some people get out in the forest, in the woods, and they can't find their animal. They lost and they never do find them. They just completely vanish. It's because to know that that pet might have in fact been in heat and was going out somewhere to find another pet. And yet Walter, her dog, was in fact a male, but even male dogs have some heat cycle. They might not flow, but they can smell another female dog. They can smell and even fear a fox or a bear enough to make them want to run away. Yes, they can. Animals are smart like that. They use their instinct for everything. They use their instinct as a guide, to guide them to run away from things in which can be an actual tragedy. They would in fact leave their owner if they know that a bear is in that environment. If they know a wild mountain lion, they might try to, depending on the actual specific breed of the dog, they might try to bring it to your awareness that, look, there is danger right here. There's a bear surrounding us. We need to get away. Or they might just be completely fearful enough, like my dog Prince, that has nervous anxiety issues where he'll just run away. Dogs do that type of stuff. They sense danger and they just flee. It's their instinct. And so probably to prevent that, this lady Penelope Bax, as she's known, her dog Walter, that could be why she had him pinned up in that kennel. Never be out in the wild like that and just let your dog roam free. Anything can happen. You can turn around and a actual bear can be snatching them up, eating them right in front of your very eyes. That sort of thing you don't do. It's been known to happen. Foxes and wild animals have been known to tear up and kill other dogs. And not only that, other dogs have been known to actually, in fact, tear up and kill other dogs. I'm saying dogs that are owned by other pet owners. They get in fights when they're not on leashes and stuff like that, which is why some of these, or many of these campgrounds, depending on what state they're in, it's illegal for you to walk around without them being on a leash. That could be why she had the dog on a leash, but I'm speaking in the kennel. It's a reason why she had that dog in the kennel like she did. So I just surveyed her pictures for what they were. Stop! My dog is trying to hump the other one. Prince is trying to hump Violet. So I just figured I would sit there until they find her. Even if they took 2 weeks and she was dead by then, I wanted to know the outcome of the actual story of what happened. Because see, when that type of stuff happened and they find you somewhere, even in a wooded area like say a ditch, it's to even tell the backstory of that, as in something led up to that. Something happened. A person passed out, got sick, something happened. That information has to be presented to the public. It has to, yes it does. Because remember, the public pay taxes. And so to pay taxes in a city or state in which you live and reside is to understand you are given the allowance to know what in fact happened to residents, which are not even completely residents. They're temporary residents, as in traveling around in RV, so that doesn't make them permanent residents. But to pay your taxes is to be given that freedom to know and understand what is owed to you, as an allowance to know what happened to that individual. It is. Because see, not society, but just individuals paying taxes, they help to contribute and to dictate the law even in that. That's why the public has to know of what happened to a missing person that was around the forest. That's why that information has to be put out. See, if I'm a resident living in California and I'm surrounded by the actual very campground and where she came up missing, I have to know that information has to be presented in the news because I am a taxpayer. And if I feel that search and rescue is not doing the proper job, as in looking up these people, as in documenting them in the way specifically how they came missing or how they might return. See, some of this stuff goes completely undocumented. And yet to change that by ways of laws is to change that by ways of a taxpayer and taxpayer dollars. Yes, it is. Residents of all kinds, even in California and even all over the state and probably even all over the globe, can take it in their specific area to help bypass them laws because they know and understand one day too, one of their very own family members could in fact come up missing. And then what? What happens? That's why this sort of thing can't be completely overlooked. That's why everybody has to get involved in the areas of your eyes being involved. If you're in a state and somebody come missing, right, and yet they're not from that state and yet they're traveling through, it's to even take it upon yourself to spread awareness. Because remember, that missing person sign has been presented in front of your very eyes. Yes, it has. You might walk into the bathroom and run right into that person. And yet that person might be being chained up and tied up physically, not completely, but might have in fact been snatched by somebody else because, as I said before, and actually be there not because they want to be there, but because they were forced there. That's what I'm trying to say. Missing people, even grown women and women, have actually been taken by other grown people, as we know. And yet they haven't always completely been taken upon their own will. They were forced. And so for you to play a part in that is to know that you might be in fact in the very location of where that individual is soon to be found. Play your part by keeping a lookout. License plate, all that. Keep a lookout. I think that's all to be said about that. I did not like that. I don't even know how to feel. I literally had to go take a nap. That's how frustrated and full of anxiety I felt. Because I don't like to be standing in the center of any serious situation like that and that come to be. Because see, in the back of my mind, even though I knew that she was there in those woods, I could not solely completely, I felt that she was alive, but I knew that there was a weakening even in that, as in a slow die out, if not rescue soon. You know what I'm saying? Your mind gets to, see, when stuff like this get to happening, your mind gets to thinking all type of thing. I just was like, you know what, if she gets too lost, say it, if her RV stalled out or something like that, and she take it upon herself to try to walk, because they said, see, usually I said it gets cold at night, and yet it's been known that anytime you get lost in a forest like that, people usually try to go up at a higher altitude to escape that cold air. They usually try to go up an altitude, as in going up on the mountains, because usually the higher you go up in altitude, I believe the warmer it is. It could be. And yet the farther down you are, the more colder it is, right? And so I just was thinking like, dude, if she get out of that RV, she's going to be eaten by bears just trying to find her way to a higher elevation so that she can be seen by the police. Because remember, to be out in those forest areas, in the woods, the deep, deep woods, is to be found. You got to put yourself somewhere where you can be found and located, all above those high standing trees. You got to put yourself in the center. Like, if you go out here and you that's why I said don't get off the path. If you go out here, and even you got to teach your kids that as well. You have to teach your kids when you're out in the woods, even in the city woods. don't go outside of the path. Because see, when an airplane comes above and they get to hovering over that area, and even very area, see, they fly through, sometimes fast and sometimes slow, right? Speeding up, slowing down based upon what they see. And yet if you're like on an actual path that has like not a road, but it's like dirt and it's more open, a helicopter can in fact see you. And more likely that's what happened with her. They wouldn't completely say, because they're updating right now in the group. Her family is posting. That's why when I clicked the thing and I was like, hold on, looking through the family, I have to read the update on that. Let me get my phone right quick. To be in an open space enough to be seen. You can't, anytime there's trees like this, I spoke on that before. Anytime there's trees and they're close together in wooded area, you gotta stay out of that. When you're lost, you have to stay out of that, or at least try to find your way out of that. You can't sit still in that. You got to get yourself on a path, which is like dirt. It's not a dirt road, but it's still a dirt path. Many hikers use that sort of thing even to walk through. You got to get in some path that's wide open. And even if you're in a wooded area that you can't see anything else but woods, even if you see up and you can see the sky, right? But the sky can see you even in the area of it being open. You got to get somewhere where it's open, just enough so that when the airplane come through, they can grab you. She had to be airlifted. Oh, she did get lost. She got lost. And that in a sense, it kind of like put tears in my eyes. I don't want to start crying. But I kept sensing and thinking that, like, that part right there, I'm trying not to cry, but it's saying, it said Penelope and Walter are safe and sound. They were airlifted to a local hospital and are resting. This is the actual update. Now, the time different is so different than the time different. I mean, the time zone is different. Hold on. That bothered me. It really did. See, and I'm going to ask even more questions behind this because I want to know. I want to know what happened to this. With this. Sorry, I can't talk now, dude. I'm doing something. Oops. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me post this right quick. I'm going to say, wait a minute. Let me pause for 1 second. Because I want to write a question so that, yes, she does in fact do need to get a GPS tracker for her dog. Yes, she does. Let me see. After, I'm going to put this, after all is settled down as in the family's emotions, and all being situated, hold on, situated. Can someone, whether it's the family or friends, tell us what happened with this situation so that all of us can learn from it. With this situation, so that all of us can learn from it. All of us can learn from it. See, Situations like this is something to be learned from. So I said, after all this is settled down, as in the family's emotion and all being situated, can someone, whether family or friends, I should say, whether family or friends, tell us what happened with this situation so that all of us can learn from it. Thank you. We want to know as well as need to know what happened so that we too can prevent we too can prevent such from happening to one of us or our loved ones, to one of us and or our loved ones, such as small children being lost in the woods. This is vital. Once again, thank you. And love, rest, as well as peace to Penelope. Penelope and Walter. I'd send get well cards if I had them. Cards. Love to everyone else as well. See, you come together in these type of situations. You don't walk away and run from it and leave it just standing there. That's a no-go. And I say this because I always think, what if that is one of my nieces? Or even nephews. I consider my cousin's kids, because she and I is first cousins. I consider her kids my nephews as well, and yet they're on their way to being grown, and yet still. Nobody wants to see anybody, a young woman, man, or child, whoever, come up missing like that. That's a disaster waiting to happen. I don't like that at all. So I said, after all is settled down, as in the family's emotions and all is being situated, can someone, whether family or friends, tell us what happened with this situation so that all of us can learn from it? Thank you. We want to know as well as need to know what happened so that we too can prevent such from happening to one of us and or our loved ones, such as small children being lost in the woods. This is vital. Once again, thank you, and love, rest, as well as peace to Penelope and Walter. I'd send get well cards if I had them. Love to everyone as well. Yeah, you just don't, because see, there's many people that are selfish, in fact, enough to walk away. Why would you walk away? You first of all, you joined a group full of individuals like yourself. What if that was one of your children? I'm saying you got children out here camping. I saw a story about a 3-year-old that had actually went missing in the middle of the night. Do you know how frightening that is? It was frightening enough for me when I was reading the story, because I was reading the story after I got done trying to figure out the puzzle and pieces to this, in fact, story. Yes, I went all the way there trying to look up information of people being lost in the woods and what has happened. Thousands upon thousands of people is going missing in these woods, and yet it's undocumented and untold. So I place once again myself to say this, as in sharing and expressing it. This little 3-year-old boy had actually walked out somewhere and got lost in the forest in the middle of the night. It took them 5.5 hours to find this young kid. Yes, they did. Where did they find him? And how did they find? It was a team of people as well as volunteers that was not even a part of the situation. It was volunteers that didn't even know the family. But when they found out, they stepped up their game and got involved. They went out in the woods. Yes, flashlights in the middle of the night and everything, looking for this kid. They found him hiding in a bush. They found him hiding in the bush that same night. And the crazy part was, one of the officers said he was kind of scared and a little leery because when it goes into 24 hours, especially for a kid like that, is to present danger. Yes, it is. A wild bear. Yes, it is. You can go to any type of zoo and notice how some of these wild bears react to children. Trying to eat them alive through the actual tank that in which they're in, as in the glass. I was watching a video right here on YouTube by a channel called Animal Bites. Animal Bites TV. They actually do some work with Discovery Channel. Yes, they do. They team up from time to time on projects and stuff, outside projects. And yet they too have been featured, right? And so these they were showing different animals, different wild animals. But it was also too on another channel where I seen these bears were they would go to the glass and go like this to the child, and yet of course they couldn't snatch the child up, but they wanted to feed off that very child. That's why that officer was highly skeptical, as in, well, I don't know. They start to lose hope when it's at night. You gotta pay attention to your surroundings. Officers as well. You have to pay attention to your surroundings. You can't, and sometimes that surrounding is the very thing right within you. As I said before, intuition. It's a guidance system. Now, didn't I said I sensed that she was lost? Even though I guess there's been many a times that she's been out in that area, because see, those photographs shows pictures or her being out there. So either those were more recent photos, or they were photos of the past. Who knows? And yet the update from her family members, as well as friends, because see, they posted it to different ones, and yet this was the main group in which it came to first. It says Penelope and Walter are safe and sound. They were airlifted to a local hospital and are resting, stable and in good condition. She had lost her way and ended up in a very remote location in the national forest on what was likely Thursday evening. I sensed that. I completely, totally sensed that. That makes absolutely no sense. I just automatically assumed she got lost that night. And that's what it's saying. She had lost her way. She had lost her way and ended up in a very remote location in the national forest on what was likely Thursday evening. The search and rescue teams and volunteers did a great job recovering her, and we're so very grateful. We are also grateful to every one of you who have sent well wishes and sent prayers for protection and safe resolution to all of this. God is good. Thank you for all having such big hearts and giving your time to think of Penn and Walter. She got lost in a remote location. After I get done completing this video, and while I'm washing these clothes, I got my washer and dryer on, and I got Greenleaf going. Yes, OWN network, Greenleaf. I like to watch that over and over as well. There's reasons why I watch Greenleaf over and over. The first season. I'm going to look more into that forest itself. The remote location. That's why I had to ask that question. What happened? See, they provided a little bit of the story, But that's why I said to wait until she's been situated, because she's going to tell what actually in fact happened or how she got there. Because see, you got to know more of how she got there. That can't even be bypassed as in the question, because see, other children or children in fact are with their families getting in and out of these RVs in certain areas and locations as where she has in fact been found. I'm saying if a child, I'm saying not like that. They're going out in these RVs with their family, and yet many of these childs are being misplaced away from their family. They're walking away from the RVs not knowing that they're walking away too far. And to get too far as a young child from an RV with family is to know you're going to get lost. So they got to share and express a little bit more detail in how she got to that actual remote location, because see, even that helps to solve other people's problems when it's presented, when their family get lost. Or even if you want to take it upon yourself or even your family members to go out in the RV to help prevent that. That prevents that type of stuff. What's amazing to me is the sense of community and heartfelt concern in these RV groups between the members, and all the prayers. I'm sure her and Walter will make a full speedy recovery. See, I believe, I don't always say God. It says being stuck somewhere unfamiliar and knowing your family is probably freaking out will be horrible. She probably wouldn't even, I know she probably was thinking about family. That's one of your first instincts. But more than likely, your first instinct is survival, as in being terrified of wondering who is coming to get you, if even family is coming to get you, and if you are actually going to make it out. So people are asking what happened that she's airlifted. She was sick. And it's the thing that makes me sick, is because I felt and I knew this. I felt and I knew this. That's the very thing that I asked was about her health. I said she could have gotten sick because of her age and probably mild. And somebody just answered that back. She was found apparently ill, which is why she had to be airlifted to a hospital. They're saying probably dehydration. But more likely she was sick before for that. You got what I'm saying? Because to be airlifted like that is to know you're completely in the jungle somewhere. And not only that, you can't really bring a medical vehicle out in that type of area, period. I mean, you can, but see, to make a speedy recover is to speed up the very action, in which is to get in that woman at her age to the hospital as quick as you can. So to ride a medical unit vehicle and get it to an actual hospital, to take an emergency vehicle through there, that's not going to work and help, because that park spans out so far, which is how she's lost out so far, or trapped so far. However the situation actually happened. Makes me sick thinking about it. The dog is fine. It's crazy. How would I have known even that? You know. See, more than likely, she got dehydrated because both her and the dog was dehydrated, right? But more than likely because look at how long they were out there. They get old and they get like those lions in the circus, raggedy and proud. The more raggedy, the more proud seems like. Because I would have, me myself, I would not have wanted my mom, as much as she travels a lot on the go, to end up in something like this. I will hope and pray that other individuals, if I was to ever wake up one morning and had to make a post like this, I will hope everybody would stop what they're doing to help me out in this sort of situation, because not everybody lives through it. And yet to be totally unselfish is to do what you can, even if it's reposting as in sharing it, getting the word around. No foul play.
So, what's surprising?
Man, oh man. See, even it has to be told if she was, see, she couldn't have been hiking. I don't think she would have been hiking, because see, I ain't never really known anybody to go hiking in the middle of the night. Not when they're leaving out of a campground to go to family members. You're too busy trying to make sure you get to where you're going. So that's what happened. I think instead of her leaving out at night the way that she had left out, she should have waited till early in the morning to have left out, because to go through all those winding roads like that is to know being lost awaits you at the very end. You can't see. You can't see. See, I've been out in parks at night, but not as big as a wilderness like that, and never would I have actually. See, my mom them, they go into the Great Smoky Mountains. They go there on a yearly. Out in Tennessee, they go there yearly, and I myself usually never take it upon myself to really go with them. First of all, I like camping and stuff like that, and I like staying in cabins, but I don't like that sort of thing as going up on high hills. Like, you're actually going up on like mountainous type of thing. I don't really like stuff like that, not in the vehicle. I would rather walk up. And they was laughing at me because they're like, man, you know, it's thousands of feet to get to the actual cabin. You can't walk up, you gotta ride up. I said, no, y'all gonna have to let me out the vehicle so that I can walk up. This vehicle is not trustable, is all I'm trying to say. It can in fact, if it ain't got 4-wheel drive, it might in fact go in reverse and stall out, as in fall down a hill. That type of stuff I think about, because it's too steep to begin with. And a lot of times, see, my mom, she's a famous driver, completely unknown. My mom know how to handle them turns and them whips and them curbs, everything. It was an incident that happened one time when we was in Virginia, and she was curling her hair with the curling iron, right? And somehow the curling iron dropped on her eye. Yes, it did, on her eyeball, and burned it. But she's not blind, but at that time she couldn't see out that one eye. She had to go to the emergency room and them to put a patch on it, and they had to check and do all that other stuff, make sure it was no surgery needed. But we had to drive home, as in ride home with her in the actual car for 8.5 hours, almost 9 hours, with her with just one eye and this patch on the other eye. She only had one eye to see that whole drive, going on 9 hours to get back home. She's a beast. That driving is all I'm trying to say. And yet and still, you know, you don't leave out of these parks. So, and me saying that, when mom driving like that, so with the Smoky Mountains, when we would be in the Smoky Mountains and she would drive up, she knew how to handle going up, putting the car in motion, setting that 4-wheel drive in real good so that she don't slide in reverse. And yet we will be sliding a little bit, but not all the way. She had a handle on that, which I can respect about my mom's driving. Yes, I can. But I'm not one to be at nobody's campground or even the Smoky Mountains traveling in and out at night. I don't like that. I don't like that. That poses a problem for me even thinking about it. Cause see, even my grown cousin, me and him is the same age. Me and him is in our 30s, mid-30s, and yet he got chased by a baby bear in the daytime. So you know how it is in the middle of the night. I don't really like that. And not only that, at night you can hear the bears. They're big black bears. That's what the park is famous and known for, is their big black bears. You can hear them rumble in the trash. Yes, they do. In the big trash bins, they be hitting it on the side. Boom, 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 trying to get that food. out of the bin. And not only that, the park tell you, they give you a pamphlet as well as it's stated completely clear in bold, all red caps on their website, is to not leave food in your car. Yes, in the Great Smoky Mountains. We've been there enough to know you don't leave food in your car, because see what a bear will do? It will tip the car completely over trying to get in there to get some snacks. Yes, it will. It will bust out all your windows is what I'm trying to say. A big black vivacious bear like that, yes, a vicious bear, he will take it upon himself to knock and scrap out all your windows just to get some cookies, or even a cookie a child has left on the back seat. To stay at any national park is to put all food away and not leave it in your car. That's all I'm saying. And to not allow, to even during a long trip like that, is to even get out and check the back seats of where your where your children sit. Get out, check the back seats of where your children sit, as in their child seat. Go in between a child seat to make sure there's no food there, like cookies. Yeah, because that's a good meal for a bear, and yet you'll be totally traumatized if you come out and all your car windows is busted. Yes, you would. That's thousands of dollars for a replacement. And yet it happens. It does happen. Trust me when I say it happens. That's why you have to be warned about it. Because the bears in the forest are very spontaneous. They are no respecter of humans. No, they're not. Because for my cousin to be walking around in the Smoky Mountains the way that he has, the Great Smoky Mountains, walking around like he was, trying to get exercise, is to not know that that baby bear was going to run up on him like that and try to snatch him up, which is what it tried to do. He was terrified. He ran the other way. It didn't snatch him up or get him, and yet it almost did. So, yeah, police, they gotta be more aware. I mean, I know that many of them is underpaid and overworked, but government funds have to be footed somewhere, even in the area of documenting these people that are missing, going missing. And more money has to be funneled in, fueled, to try to match the cause of finding them. See, some of these police officers, they get to a point of just being tired that they just give up soon and early. Call it a day. Everybody go home. The team, search and rescue, y'all can all go home. And yet that's not the end of the story. It's not. It's not. So, that's the end of this story. A very factual story. See, years back, I said I wanted to study, research more missing persons. There's something about that, the unsolved mysteries of when I spoke of that on that video of a pedophile about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, whenever I made that video here on YouTube. I would have never thought it was coming. But there's a spooky nature up under that. Like unsolved mysteries and people going missing and children going missing and coming up for be missing for 20, 30 years. And yet they were like 19 years old when they left. Like, that's very spooky. So, in order for me to take my time, because I been putting it off, in order for me to take it upon myself to do that type of thing, as in study and research it, I would have to get my mind right, as in clear my mind right, as in put away the fear, enough to not have panic attacks, as in looking into the cases of what has happened. And the guy that was the actual, presenter, on the Unsolved Mystery show, his voice, just his overall demeanor, he was scary in himself. That guy that was on that show, Unsolved Mysteries, he had like a evilish look. So he actually fit the show in order to make you want to tune in. But him himself scared me. I think he actually died. I think he did die. His voice, everything was creepy. His creepy voice and his look and that look in his eye fit the whole backdrop of every single story which he told that was going on about people just vanishing and all that other stuff. So I think I'll wait. I think I'll wait till after we get our RV and travel around and get used to the actual campgrounds and being around them in the dark. I'll wait till I start searching the missing persons. I think maybe I think I'll put it off for another 2 years. Cause I got to get used to being on the campground myself before I start researching stuff like that. I don't want to research it enough to make it so terrified that I'm at a standstill to not want to go out camping or even hiking with my family. So I'll wait. Everything happens for a reason. I think this story happened for me to even show, to wake up that when you're in an environment, be watchful where you're going. And not only that, when I got my nieces with us and even my mom, to know that my mom can no longer be traveling alone, especially in a campground with an RV like that, and my nieces can't just roam. No, they can't. That's not going to happen. And my dogs will be on a leash at all times of the day when we're out there. So, summing this up, that is basically all to be said. I can't think of anything else to say because my thoughts were at a standstill and yet now they're freely flowing. Thank you, universe, for even helping me in that. Gets a time where you got to put fear away and deal with reality. As in go on in life. Everybody, I think, and feel and know this for a fact, everybody that is put on your path is there to teach you a lesson. It's there to impact your life. People that are presented to you, sometimes at the most weirdest, strangest, and even unknown times, as in you not knowing they're going to pop up to the scene, many of them people are there to show you nothing more sometimes than a lesson. Because see, I myself, being the type of person that I am, sometimes that just want to take a walk, could have been out on the campground listening to my iPod, get the strolling, thinking I'm on some type of dirt road and end up in a remote location like that woman did. So that's to show me, don't do that sort of thing. Don't do it. Don't even do it with family. As well as not to be so fearful. Be less fearful. So yeah, that's all. I'm going to end this video out because I got to finish washing my clothes. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. For those who are going to watch it, don't think that the right-minded individual is trying to use other people for exploitation purposes. Remember, we're all here in this together, as in on this earth, and us being all connected instead of us being divided, despite being divided in locations at times, as in not knowing one another, and yet not sharing the same blood, and yet bleeding the same. To let something like that go on is to not let it go unannounced. That's what I'm saying. Yes.